Now at 10, the Utah author accused of killing her husband, caught up in complicated lawsuits. What the judge and attorneys are saying from a recent hearing. Plus, Bear Lake restocking with cutthroat trout. A closer look at what this means for the upcoming fishing season. And new gates unveiled at the Salt Lake City International Airport. The first flight out of those gates and how many people they plan to see come through.
Live from Utah's first TV station, ABC4 News celebrates 75 years.
Welcome to ABC4 News at 10. I'm Glenn Mills.
And I'm Emily Flores. We thank you for joining us here tonight. We begin with more on the grief author accused of murdering her husband. Corey Richins is who we're talking about. ABC4's Elena Castro joining us live with information on the latest hearing.
What's the latest, Elena?
Attorneys representing both Corey Richins and Eric Richins' sister met with Judge Richard Mrazek concerning a lawsuit filed by Corey against the estate. With her next court hearing just days away, here's what we know.
The Midway mansion, formerly owned by Corey, has been a source of interest since news broke that she had owned the home and put it back on the market. The house the Richins family lived in Camas is also a question mark. Attorneys disclosing that the Richins Trust now has control of the house, but are unsure of where to take it from there.
Well, if the market goes down, we may need to sell the house and we've got this pending ownership issue. Okay, but we can deal with that issue if we have to deal with that issue.
Amidst all the turbulence this case has seen thus far, there are still 3 young boys on everyone's minds. The courts and attorneys just trying to do what's best for them.
That's their home. Their world has been turned upside down. And if I can press pause for 45 or 60 days and make sure that I don't inadvertently contribute to that chaos, what's the harm?
Though Judge Mrazek thinks it's best to place the boys back in the family home, it's unknown just how safe the house is at this time.
I do want to point out, though, that both on Monday night and Tuesday, there were attempted break-ins to the home. We had a security guard in the home to guard it. There should be police reports on that. It does need to be maintained and guarded. Someone's trying to get into detached garage and or the home looking for something, but we do have a guard there.
Corey is expected back in court this Friday. Stick with ABC4 here on air and online for all the latest updates. Back to you.
All right, Elena, thank you. Well, Lori Valadebell, the mom convicted of killing her 2 youngest children, has now been indicted by a grand jury in Arizona for conspiracy to murder Brandon Bordeaux, who was married to Lori's niece, Melanie. Well, police saying Lori's brother, Alex Cox, shot at Brandon after he was leaving the gym. Brandon testified about the incident last month during Daybell's trial in Ada County. Lori was also indicted by a different grand jury back in 2021 for conspiracy to commit murder of her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. A sentencing date for her Idaho crimes has not yet been set.
The Logan Ranger District closing the Second Day Dam use area to all pedestrians, equestrians, bikes, and any other type of motor vehicle. It's all due to flooding. As you can see from these photos, the walkways, bridges, and trails all underwater. And until they can clear that out, rangers are asking you to be safe and just stay away from the area.
Yeah, these rivers will be high for quite some time, right, Alana?
Yes, and we've got new flood watches out tonight for different portions of the state. River flooding is an issue. With our record-breaking snowpack, I want to start with the Weber River because this is where you can see plenty of debris in the water, and we do have the lower Weber River near Plain City under a flood watch. Brian Whiteleather catching that video. Here's a look at the current alerts with the new alerts included. So a portion of the Bear River, Sevier River near Hatch, the Ogden River near Huntsville, and the Strawberry River near Strawberry Reservoir, all under a flood warning where we have minor to moderate flooding occurring. Now, the flood watch, this is new tonight for Daniels Creek on US 40. This extends to the Wasatch Back, Western Uintas, Wasatch Plateau, as well as the Book Cliffs. This is going to hold through Friday morning. So that's the newest area now under a flood watch, meaning flooding potential is there. Little Bear River, Weber River, and the Green River over on the eastern side of the state near Jensen, also under a flood watch. Flood advisory for the Bear River, Blacksmith Fork up there in South Logan, Dolores and Colorado River on the eastern side of the state, and Thistle Creek, where we have seen flooding and road closures in the area. This is Little Cottonwood Creek, where we have high, cold, running water in Murray. So several areas not under flood alerts. Also going to see a significant rise with our warming trend. Temperatures way above average in the 80s, and you can notice places like Spanish Fork, Big Cottonwood Creek, Little Cottonwood Creek, all expected to run high with the help of our temperatures. Thunderstorms are out there there. As we look at the storm tracker radar, we're fairly quiet and quieting down tonight, but we still get echoes of moisture in the southern portion of the state towards Lake Powell and near St. George tonight. The thunderstorm threat holds on into tomorrow for the entire Beehive state. That brings on another type of flooding. We'll break down flash flooding concerns coming up in my full forecast in just a few moments. Glenn, Emily, over to you.
All right, thank you, Alana. And we're continuing to cover concerns of flooding in parts of the state. Today, the city of Holiday issuing a state of emergency due to the flood risk in Big Cottonwood Canyon. With temperatures warming up, the rapid snow melt could flood Big Cottonwood Creek, which runs through public and private property in the city. Now, rising water in Little Cottonwood Creek also has those living along the bank preparing to protect their homes.
Yeah, it's not my first rodeo. Here in 20 years, and as far as preparations go, having it be the biggest winter ever. I mean, flashbacks of 1983 are coming back. And so, there have been sandbacking efforts. We've been, buying a sump pump, everything we can do to kind of get ready for what's going to happen.
Salt Lake County Emergency Management saying they're constantly working to keep debris out of several creeks to help with flood risks.
And a true sign that spring is in full swing. Utahns are hitting the lakes and Utah streams are in good health.
ABC4 Northern Utah correspondent Cade Gardner reporting tonight from Bear Lake.
You can see and hear behind me just how much water is flowing into the lake, but it's not just water that's filling the lake right now, but fish as well. These pictures show 107,000 Bear Lake cutthroat trout being released into the lake at North Beach. While they're only about 7 inches long right now,
these are some of the monsters of the West when it comes to cutthroat trout.
Chris Penny says these trout can grow longer than 30 inches and 20 pounds.
It's really one of the things that makes fishing great at that lake.
Like their name suggests, they're native to the area and the top predator in the lake.
Basically, these predators are kind of what helps keep the ecosystem in balance. And this is a pretty important thing for a place like Bear Lake, because in Bear Lake, we've got about 4 different species that are found nowhere else in the world.
Penny says for decades, Utah, Idaho, and private landowners have been working together to restore streams and rivers in the area.
All these tributaries are their natural spawning habitat. In the 90s, it was noticed they were starting to get pretty degraded, and we had to stock a lot more fish than we do now.
He says right now, about half the fish in the lake are naturally spawned, and things continue to look up.
Number that we're stocking now is really about a third of what we used to stock. And what it is really indicative of the success that we've had rehabilitating those streams as nursery and spawning habitat.
Releasing the fish is obviously good for the fish, good for those who want to go fishing, and good for the environment as a whole. Reporting from Bear Lake, Cade Garner, ABC4 News.
State lawmakers meeting tomorrow for a special session. On top of the agenda is the flood emergency. They will consider extending the emergency Governor Cox first declared back on April 18th. They will also consider budget reallocation requests. UDOT has requested money to deal with flood mitigation and even road repairs. The Senate will also consider various appointments, the first one being Brian Redd as Corrections Department Director and Brian Steed as the state's first ever Great Salt Lake Commissioner.
And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints confirming President Nelson is now using a walker. The announcement coming from his Twitter account with President Russell M. Nelson saying from time to time he is having a small challenge with his balance, but that should be the least of his worries. President Nelson closing out his message with a hopeful onward and upward message. And if you live in Utah County, there's a new place to donate blood. The American Red Cross of Utah opening a donation center in Lehi. It's replacing the Orem location, which was built in the 90s and was struggling to meet the demand for blood and platelets. The new center is bigger and has more platelet donation machines. Platelets are tiny cells in blood that form clots to stop bleeding. Well, they're essential to surviving and fighting cancer, and they have a short shelf life. So the Red Cross says donations are so important, and they know platelets are a commitment in your day if you do choose to donate.
We ask you to take 3 hours out of your day to do it. We do an interview and then you're usually on the machine for about 2 hours.
All right, if you want to donate, you can make an appointment by visiting the website you see there at the bottom of your screen.
A public open house today at Highland High School regarding the redesign of the 21st South area in Sugar House. The project currently in the planning phase and will replace old and damaged pavement beginning next year. The design team also planning to redesign the roads in the area to make driving a better experience, like combining the best of 3- and 4-lane options with upgraded crosswalks, raised medians, and dedicated left turn lanes. We spoke to one of the co-chairs of the Sugar House Chamber on how multiple teams are working together to make this project successful.
Just with anything else with this project, you're getting a mixed bag of opinions and results, and I think that's what the city has done a pretty great job with in terms of trying to balance all of the needs from the different people and voices involved with the project.
The project paid for by voter-approved funding from Our Future bonds back in 2018, with the final design being presented to the public later this year. Now, according to city officials, construction is set to begin next year and is going to go through 2025.
And just in time for the busy summer travel season, the Salt Lake International Airport just opened 5 new gates for passengers.
The day filled with balloons and festivities, all in celebration of the new expansion, opening part of Concourse A East, including 5 new gates served by Delta. The celebration complete with the ribbon cutting outside the gate, where the first flight from these new gates took off. That flight on its way to Atlanta, Georgia. Passengers say it was fun to see all the celebration as they were boarding the flight.
It's great for Salt Lake and for us to be able to have more room and things available to us and get people in and out better.
Throughout the year, there will be more gates opening up at Concourse East A. The total there coming to 22. 19 shops and restaurants will be opening as well, including Burger King, Blue Iguana, and P.F. Chang's.
Coming up, a deadly mass shooting, this one in New Mexico. Here are the gruesome details from the 225th mass shooting in our country this year.
And it was a gorgeous sunset out there tonight. This one coming from Bountiful. Thanks to Mike for sending it our way. Meg Roberts caught this pop of color in Salt Lake. You can see the cloud cover that moved in. There's the Great Salt Lake. Gorgeous shot coming from Scott Taylor. The shutterbugs were out tonight. We've got storms on the horizon, though. We're going to track them and the timing coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast.